What's going on, guys? It's your boy, Old Scrubby here, back again with another video. Make sure to press the like button, comment down below, and subscribe if you're new, or you'll get coal for Christmas. And if you really want to be a swag lord, check out the HAH sweater in the description. And without further ado, let's get into the 11th episode of the 12 Days of Scrubs. What's going on, guys? It's your boy Scrub here, back again with another video. Hope you guys are having a great day. I know I am. And today I've got a story time for y'all that was sent in to me about this dude's cousin that ended up losing $500,000 in about 30 seconds by making a pretty simple mistake. I figured it would be a story y'all are going to enjoy. So before we get into it, be sure to press the like button, or no joke, no scam. You're going to lose $500,000 in 30 seconds. And without further ado, let's get into it.
Nice rack in her ass Brazilian. Just turned 21, but my bank's a million.
Alright, now like I said, this is a story that was sent into me, and I guess that this guy had a cousin that was doing very, very well for himself over the past couple months, buying and flipping NFTs, right? And for those of you that don't know what NFTs are, I don't really get it either, but I know that people are making like a crap ton of money doing this with JPEGs very quickly. And, you know, I know there's going to be people in the comments, it's so much more than a JPEG, whatever, bro, we get it, yeah, Bored Ape Club or whatever, I don't know. Anyways, he basically would not be quiet about it. He was constantly talking to his family members about how he was turning this into that and that into this and all these good things, and obviously he started talking to his cousin about it, and his cousin was interested, as you are when a family member's making a bunch of money and they're claiming it's very easy. And so one day his cousin's like, you know what, come over, I'll show you how to buy one, you know, like whatever, it's pretty easy, it's not that difficult. So whatever, he goes over to his cousin's house, and his cousin is like, this is how you do it, da-da-da-da-da, and I guess he had like $1 million worth of NFTs, and then he had like $500,000 in Ethereum that he wanted to use to buy a new NFT. So like, we're talking crazy money here, right? Listen, if I had $1.5 million, I'm not saying that NFTs are completely worthless or like will never be used in a video game in the future, anything like that. I just feel like there's maybe better things you could buy with $500,000. Now, that's a personal preference and not financial advice, but, you know, kind of crazy. And whatever, he says that he has this one NFT that he's gonna buy from a friend. And I've never bought an NFT personally, but the way that I've always understood it is you would go to like OpenSea or a place like that, and you would buy it, and the transaction would be you sending the crypto and you would get it immediately, right? Like, you know, I wouldn't trust that all this money's being sent on the honor system of like, okay, I'm gonna send the Ethereum to your wallet, you're gonna send me the NFT, right? I've never done it, but from what I understand, it's supposed to be like a normal transaction. They give you the NFT, you give them the money at the same time, because like it's a checkout system. At least that's what I thought it was, or think it is. But whatever, I guess he tells his cousin that like, yeah, you know, usually that's the way it works, but I know this guy, you know, so I trust him. I've been in group chats with him for a while, so I'm going to buy it from him directly. And I guess one way or another, this guy that he knows from this group chat had convinced him that it was a good idea to send the Ethereum to a wallet that wasn't related to the NFT, right? And then he was just going to send him the NFT, like, basically, you know, not the way where it would be very secure. The system of, you're gonna PayPal me all of the money, and then I'm gonna ship it when I feel like it type of vibe, but with a, you know, $500,000 NFT. And so his cousin is like, yeah, so basically I'm going to send the money to his address. When he gets it, he's going to send me the NFT, and it's going to work out. And he's never done NFTs before, the person who sent this into me, but he kind of has the same concern I have of like, okay, well, if you send this guy all the money, then what are you going to do like if he doesn't send you the NFT? And obviously his cousin kind of scoffs at that. He's like, dude, trust me, this guy is legit. There's no way that he would be a scammer, man. Like, I've known this guy for a couple months now. And listen, that's not exactly a compelling argument when we're talking about $500,000 here, right? Like, oh, yeah, you know this guy for a couple months. Oh, and he's about to steal $500,000 from you, but it's okay because, you know his on Twitter or whatever. A couple months, I feel like somebody would be willing to pretend to be your friend for a couple months if it meant that they were going to get a $500,000. So whatever, he's not the expert. He's not the guy with $1.5 million to play around with on the internet. So he tells his cousin, okay. So his cousin basically shows him the process of sending a transaction, copying the wallet code, sending the wallet code, all that that stuff. And he sends it and he goes, okay, and now we wait for it to confirm. And, they're waiting. It confirms. And he texts the guy and he's like, all right, did you get it? And the guy says, yeah, I got it. Thank you so much. I'll send the NFT. And he's like, awesome. And so they're waiting, and he's like, oh man, my computer's having trouble right now. It won't turn on, so I can't send the NFT right now. Can you wait till tomorrow? And he's like, kind of annoyed. He's like, man, I'd really prefer you to send it right now. Is there any way you can do it? Oh, I'm gonna get my computer fixed, man. Just trust me. And his cousin's like, okay, yeah, we'll just send it whenever you get your computer fixed. So he leaves his cousin's house that day. And his cousin thinks that he's going to get his money or his NFT relatively soon. All right, guys, I'm going to interrupt the video for just 1 second. On screen now is a gift card code. I give one of these away in every video to say thank you to you guys for subscribing and turning on notifications and supporting the channel. I really do appreciate it. So, yeah, if you haven't already subscribed, turn on notifications. I give away free money and press the like button. Your mom's a hoe, and let's get back to it. Thanks. And a few days later, he sees his cousin, and it looks like his cousin hasn't slept at all. And he's like, yo, bro, are you okay? And he's like, I got scammed. What do you mean? Well, the guy just blocked me. He never sent the NFT, and I really don't have a way to get my money back because I sent it to him from my wallet, and it wasn't on an exchange or anything. And he's like, wait, what? What do you mean? And so this is where this guy's a moron. Like I said, bro, I'm pretty sure that when you buy an NFT, it's supposed to be like an auction system or like buying something on eBay where, there's a layer of protection. Like, I think it's a secure transaction, right? This guy had done the equivalent of like driving to the middle of a parking lot, right? Dropping off a briefcase of $50,000. And then tomorrow morning, he's supposed to come back and pick up his new truck. And if anyone comes along and takes that $50,000, then my goodness, wouldn't that be a shame? That's basically what happened. This guy basically made a charitable donation of $500,000 to this guy's wallet under the guise of getting an NFT. Because, it was his friend for a couple months. And obviously, he feels horrible for his cousin, and I do too. Like, I genuinely hope that this guy does get his money back because that's just so much money to get stolen. But at the same time, man, if you're sending that much money, like, you should have told him to eat balls, even if he's your friend. You're doing it the secure way. And if he had a problem with that, that should have raised red flags, dude. Because if I were the other guy, I would also want it to be secure. Like, wouldn't you rather also just do it in a secure auction? This should have raised alarm bells the entire time that this guy wanted to do it. So, like, no, man, you just send it to me off of the exchange. We're all good. But regardless, he's just been kind of blowing up all the group chats he's in, trying to get anybody to respond to him, and everybody's trying to talk to the guy, but the guy had, like, deleted all of his accounts and basically gone ghost. Because, he had just gotten a $500,000 donation from some guy to, like, buy an NFT, right? And so people were just kind of watching his wallets for transactions. I don't really know how all of this works at all, right? Like, I'm not a giant crypto dude, but apparently they're watching his wallet, and he just emptied all of the wallets that he had associated with, like, this identity. And it looked like it went through something where, like, it mixes it all up. Like, it sends it to this wallet, and then to this wallet, and then to this wallet. So, yeah, chances are this guy is probably not going to see any of his funds. And when he reported it to the police, obviously, as you do in this situation, this isn't something where you just let it slide, right? They were like, okay, well, do you know who he is? And he gave him a name and all that stuff. Come to find out, yep, pictures weren't his. Like, this dude basically did no background research, which is insane to me. People are out there willing to send like $500,000 to a person they don't even know exists. And yeah. It's also wild that somebody that, like, knows this little about making sure stuff is secure managed to flip NFTs, I'm starting to think maybe that money might have come from elsewhere, because you think somebody that's flipping NFTs like there's no tomorrow would have a little bit more skill at picking up when a, transaction is a little sussy. Regardless, though, his cousin, like, literally didn't sleep for days after, and then finally just kind of accepted it and got over it, because there wasn't really much for him to do about it. You just got to keep living life, right? But regardless, man, that 30-second window where this dude was like, yeah, whatever, it's no big deal, telling his cousin how he was gonna flip this NFT and make all this money, ended up costing him $500,000. So double check all your stuff, dude. I don't know how many of y'all are crypto experts out there. I don't know much about it, but like I said, if you are doing this stuff, just make sure everyone's legit. You're kind of silly if you think no one out there will scam you for $500,000. I'm not saying you should. If you're out there scamming people, it's not cool. You shouldn't be doing it. But you also can't be naive and be like, guys, I'm a multi-millionaire. I trust everyone. Chances are somebody's going to take you for a ride. You're going to send $500,000 in Ethereum to a wrong address you're never going to get back. But yeah, on that note, guys, that's going to do it for the video. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you did, be sure to press the like button. comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. If you really want to help me out, I'll put a link to the intro song down below, along with a link to my podcast, The Scuffcast, and of course, you could use code SCRUBBY at the G Fuel checkout. I would really appreciate it. It helps me out more than y'all know. Beyond that, 2 more things that I gotta shout out. I did go ahead and put some of my story times up on Spotify, so you guys can listen to those without gameplay, offline, whatever it is you prefer. So I'll put that link in the description. Be sure to go check it out. I would very much appreciate it. And we got the Karen Christmas sweater, which might be the coolest Christmas merch to ever exist in the history of the planet. That link will be at the top of the description, so be sure to go check it out. I would really, really appreciate that as well, getting close to Christmas. And on that note, that'll do it. Don't get anyone pregnant. If you do, make sure they're hot, and hopefully I'll see you guys next time. I'm out. Peace.
What's going on, guys? It's your boy Scrub here, back again with another video. Hope you guys are having a great day. I know I am, and today I have a story time for you guys about how basically this kid in my school started a pyramid scheme and convinced a bunch of people to put like their bar mitzvah money into it. I don't know, it's pretty funny. Real talk, it should be an entertaining video, but before we get into it, press the like button. Otherwise, no joke, no scam. You'll get kidnapped by a Fall Guys character. There actually was a hacker in this gameplay, so be on the lookout for that. And yeah, without further ado, let's get into some kid in school swindling and swicking thousands of dollars away from all the other students. GG, baby.
Yeah, I pull up and I got those. You haters looking cheesy like some nachos. But I will never stop.
Alright. So I think something that every human wants is to be rich with absolutely no effort, dude. Like, every single one of us would love to wake up tomorrow with Jeff Bezos' bank account without having to do the whole, like, 20 years of work building Amazon thing. And kids especially have that mentality, dude, especially kids at my school. I went to a school where a lot of kids were, like, you know, very spoiled by their parents, and their parents had money. So most of them just really had no idea how to work hard for money and just assumed that there were ways to like print it without doing any work. And you know, when kids are dumb and they kind of have this idea that money is easy to come by, it makes it very easy for people who want to separate idiots from their money to come do it. And usually it's like an outside horse, yeah, or a source, not horse. Hopefully horses aren't stealing your money. If you're getting outsmarted by a Clydesdale, I really don't know what to tell you. You probably just are going to be homeless. Real talk, though, usually it's like an outside source that comes in and scams you, though. You know, it's a Ponzi scheme run by some dude that seems smart. You know, it's a pyramid scheme run by some mom on Instagram who won't stop DMing you. Usually it's like an outside source, but regardless, knowing that there were a bunch of kids at our school who kind of had disposable income, the one guy who I didn't really know that well basically decided to run a Ponzi scheme at our high school. A Ponzi and pyramid scheme are basically similar, but with a Ponzi scheme, people would give him money to quote-unquote invest, and then he would basically just give them new investor money to make it look like he had made money. But in reality, he had never invested. But the more people thought they made money, the more that they gave him, so the more he had to give back to people, if that makes sense. Anyways, basically what this kid does, and I was not involved at all in making the pyramid scheme, but he went to some of the most popular kids in school and was basically like, look, if you give me $20, I have this way of investing it, you know, and I'll bring you 60 back tomorrow. I can guarantee you I will triple your money. Which, listen, when you're a kid who doesn't know a whole lot about investing, you're like, wow, that sounds perfect. That sounds too good to be true. And the older you get, they teach you a very important lesson, and that's if it sounds too good to be true, it actually is. And trust me, some like 16-year-old kid does not know enough about the stock market to triple your money every day. Like, if somebody was actually smart enough to be tripling their money every day, they wouldn't need $20 from their high school quarterback, dude. They would legitimately be a billionaire after like a month. But whatever, the popular kids, obviously thinking that this dude is some sort of like economic genius, they give him $20. The next day he comes back and he gives them 60. And, you know, they are like, wow, this is so impressive. And they, the popular kids, go around telling everybody at school how it's the easiest money they ever made and how, you know, this kid's a genius and trust me, they're just going to keep printing money. And when the popular kids go around saying that, a bunch of like new kids who weren't involved start going to this kid who's running the scheme and being like, hey, can you do it for me? Can you do it for me? Can you do it for me? And this kid basically tells these new people coming and asking him, he's like, yeah, but I won't be able to do it as good. Like, I won't be able to triple your money. I'll only be able to, like, double it after a week. It'll take me a week this time. And they're like, yeah, for sure. Don't worry about it. So that first day, the people that signed up, I'll give him their money. He's going to double it in a week. So a week goes by, but more and more people have been coming to him and giving him money. And he has a week every time. So sure enough, that Friday comes. That second group of people that have given him $20, He gives him 40. He's like, hey, look, I doubled your money. GG, look at that. Who would have thunk? And now the second group of people, which is, 10, 15 more kids, is like, oh my God, it worked. Wow, he doubled my money in a week. What a genius. 90% of the kids, by the way, are giving them the money back. So, like, that original, I guess, 80 total, if you include the 20 that he gave popular kids, right? Like, the four $20 bills after 3xing the original investment. Most of them had ended up giving that back to him to reinvest too. So he wasn't out a lot of money, but like he's legitimately convincing these high school kids that he's some economic genius, getting all these gains and like doubling people's money overnight. And I'm gonna be honest, as somebody who follows the stock market, it's just not possible. Like, trust me, if there was a way to be doubling your money once or twice a week, so many people would be like dummy rich. Like, let's say hypothetically you even started with $1,000 and you could double your money twice a week. After like 7 times, you're starting to make $250,000 a day, dude. It's like, there's no way that you would legitimately be walking around high school begging kids for $20 to sign up to make them millionaires, dude. But sure enough, man, the entire school is crazy on this get-rich-quick scheme. They're talking about how he does something online. Basically, it's impossible to mess up, and everybody at the school is going to be a multi-millionaire by the end of the year because this kid just figured out the way to print money. He showed everyone how to get rich online, and like, the entire time, I'm just kind of sitting there like, oh my God, these dudes are just straight up getting scammed. And the worst part is, because he had done such a good job, like faking that he was good at it at first, nobody believed you. If you tried to point out that like this was probably a Ponzi scheme, nobody would listen to anything you say. And for those of you who are like, how do you know it was a scam? Ponzi scams have existed forever. Like, what this guy's doing, a Ponzi scheme, has happened before all the time. And what's even funnier is this was right around the time, like, right when Bernie Madoff had gotten caught. Bernie Madoff was this dude who had run a multi-billion-dollar Ponzi scheme. Like, even rich people fall for this stuff. And he had gotten caught in 2008. So it was probably like 3 years later. It's probably 2012-ish. And this dude is straight up Ponzi scheming the entire school. And all these kids are like getting mad whenever somebody points out how ridiculous it is. Because there was this one kid whose dad owned a hedge fund. And he had been telling guys that like, these investments just didn't make sense and not to give this kid money because there was obviously something shady. And all the popular kids like started to bully him and call him jealous. And here's this kid genuinely giving them advice saying like, all your money is going to disappear. Regardless, everyone in school is ignoring anyone with logic. They're just like giving this kid money. And that's when the kid does it. He starts going around the school saying that he's figured out a massive project, okay? He's gonna make all this money, but he needs more of an investment. So he starts going to all these kids and like asking them for their birthday money, their bar mitzvah money. They're like, like literally asking for any of their money. One kid that I ended up hearing about after the fact ended up giving all of his bar mitzvah money to this dude. It was like $2,000 that he had given this dude under the guise that he was going to go invest it and make all this money because he had already been investing these $20 for everybody and making them all this band. So sure enough, this kid rounds up money from like all the people in the school that he's suckered into thinking that he's this investment guru. And I don't know a total, dude. I know one kid gave him $2,000. I know a couple other kids that gave him like $400 or $500. So this dude, after getting money from everyone in his scam, is probably like $9,000-$10,000 up realistically. Anyways, this kid gets $10,000 collected on this Friday, and he's like, look, by Monday, I'll have this magical way of getting all your money, and you'll have your doubled money, and like, trust me, we're all gonna make a bunch. So sure enough, the Monday comes after the weekend, and here's the dumbest part. The stock market's not open on weekends. So like, I really don't know how this kid, or like how these people believed that he was gonna make all this money over the weekend, because the market was closed, and he had told the kids that he was, like day trading all their money and making all this money. He was doing some crypto stuff online, which I guess is 24/7, but like, for the most part, he made it seem like it was all this insanely hard work during the week that he was doing to make sure that they were all getting rich. Like, he was really playing himself up as this genius guy. So sure enough, the weekend goes by, and I'm aware of the fact that this guy had been like asking for more money. We don't know a whole bunch, but it's pretty well known around the school that like some kids had been bringing some serious cash and giving it to this kid. So obviously the Monday comes and the kid's not at school. The kid doesn't show up. And so a couple people are kind of nervous, but the overall mood in the school, from what I could tell, is like, whatever, maybe he got sick, maybe he made so much money that, like, he had to go file it with the SEC. Like, they were coming up with all these excuses in the book for why this kid wasn't here that Monday. Whatever, Tuesday comes, same thing, he's not there. Wednesday comes, he's not there. And now people are starting to get worried. People are like, man, where is this kid? But it gets even crazier. People start trying to text him, dude, and texts aren't delivering. Not SMSs, not iMessages. Nothing's delivering. And when I say nothing, it's not just from one phone. It's not like he just blocked a guy. He's just straight up, like, not getting any messages from anybody. So people start kind of freaking out and whatnot. And it starts to become the talk around the town that this kid scammed everybody. Like, everyone starts to be like, oh my god, this kid scammed us. Just wait till he comes back to school. We're going to teach him a lesson. Like, everybody who got scammed is saying how when he comes back, he's going to have to deal with the consequences and all this stuff. And so about 2 more weeks go by, and the school is still pissed. Like, they're like looking for this kid who scammed them. And one day somebody says his name in front of a teacher, which we had tried to kind of keep out of the loop because obviously everybody knew that, like, bringing the money to school and investing it with a kid was definitely not something the teachers would have been okay with, so nobody was going out of their way to snitch. But anyways, one of the teacher overhears some kids talking about the situation, and she goes, oh yeah, he moved. We sent all of his educational transcripts and everything over to his new school the other day. And everybody's jaw just drops. This kid had gone around and, like, started this Ponzi scheme to get everybody to trust him and give him money because he knew that he was moving out of the state in like a month. So the day before he, like, left and was never going to come back, he went around and got all the money from people who had wanted to invest with him and then just moved, bro. Like, he legit just left. And obviously, that's not a good thing to do. Like, I'm not standing up for this guy. But at the same time, dude, like, what kid does that? We were freshmen in high school, and this kid was like, I'm just gonna embezzle all this money from my classmates and then move and never be heard from again. And what's even worse is he kind of had nailed everybody that had given him lots of money because it was very obvious that, like, bro, our teachers were not going to have our backs on this one. We were just giving a kid money, hoping that it would be doubled. We weren't asking any questions. We weren't, talking to our teachers. Our parents had no idea. So he realized that, like, unless these kids wanted to go to their parents and explain how stupid they were to lose all this money to some kid who had moved that they were never going to get it back from, like, it was GG, dude. The kid really got away with the perfect crime. And I don't advocate for stealing from people because that's what he did. He didn't scam people. Like, he stole money from people. That's not cool. But at the same time, convincing an entire school that you have a get-rich-quick scheme online that they can do by just giving you money and not asking any questions is pretty damn funny, dude. Like, I'm gonna say this now for everybody that's watching this video. If anybody ever comes to you and is like, man, I have a super easy way to make a lot of money, it's not real, okay? If people can make a lot of money easily, they would. Like, realistically, if there was some magical way where some, 11-year-old could get 100% gains in the stock market every week, nobody would be working. We'd all be billionaires, dude. It'd be too easy. Like, hard work is what gets the money, dude. The people who are making millions on the stock market are reading information about it 15 hours a day. They're not 11-year-olds walking around the locker room going, hey, if you give me your bar mitzvah money, I promise I'll make you a millionaire. It's a double-edged sword. On one hand, like, obviously I feel bad that some people's money got taken, but on the other hand, man, you gotta be smarter about who you're giving your money to, dude. You can't just be handing out your money to anybody who says that they're gonna be good at making money back. Like, come on, if it seems too good to be true, it probably is. This story to me is just hilarious. The fact that some kid out there started a Ponzi scheme by convincing all the popular kids that they were gonna get rich incredibly fast on the internet cracks me up. Regardless, guys, hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, I really would appreciate you taking me a second to press the like button and comment down below. It helps the video do better. Just go ahead and comment the word scrubby down below if you have no idea what to say. Other than that, you can check out some of the merch. It will be down below. It's pretty dope. Use code scrubby at the G Fuel checkout. Other than that, if you turn on notifications, I'm just going to be honest right now, you are a swag lord, alright? If you have all notifications on, you have my undivided respect. And last things that I have to plug plug really quick. Go follow me on Twitter at scrubby_69 because I am funny on Twitter and I need more followers. And also, my Instagram is at scrubby. Okay, I'm gorgeous. I look like a Clydesdale horse mixed with Jimmy Neutron. You don't want to miss out on how I'm looking. My fits are always fire, so follow me over there. And yeah, other than that, don't get anyone pregnant. If you do, make sure they're hot. And hopefully, I will see you guys all next time with another video. I'm out. Peace.
What's going on, guys? It's your boy Scrubby here, back again with another video. Hope you guys are having a great day. I know I am. And today I've got a really cool story time that was sent in to me by a subscriber about the time this dude was like in his CSGO group and scammed one of their friends, so they all banded together to scam the scammer back. I thought it was a cool story time. Can't remember the last time we did something like this, so I thought y'all would enjoy it. So yeah, without further ado, let's get into it. Scammer gets scammed! The person who sent this in to me was a really big CSGO player at the time and still is, and as you can tell from the gameplay, I like CSGO too. I think it's a great game. But that being said, the skins can get a little bit pricey. You know, I know Valorant players love to talk about like, oh, a collection is so much money. You don't even want to know if you think those are expensive, what some items in CSGO can be going for. But it's a big part of the game. A lot of people have skins. A lot of people know about the skins, and they can get insanely expensive. And this guy in his group played a lot of CSGO, and they also had like jobs, so they would just play after work together and whatnot. So a lot of people in the group had some pretty valuable skins. I'm not talking about stuff that's, you know, like rare $100,000 blue gem case hardened AKs, but they would have knives that would be worth like $600-700, and because they were all friends, they would kind of trade back and forth. Everybody was always kind of like, if you let me play with your thing, I'll let you play with mine, or like if it was equal value. That way you weren't getting scammed if they held on to your knife, but if you wanted to try something different, you could. So for example, if like Jim had a $300 knife, Tony had a $310 knife, they might trade for a week just to like play with each other's knives, have a different skin, and then trade back. And the group was doing this for a while. They had known each other for a long time, and over time, the more they traded back and forth, they started to trust each other more and more, and so it would be like, okay, yeah, you can borrow something worth like $100 more than your item you're giving me because I trust you and we've been friends for a year. And they were playing together like every day after work, friends for a really long time. And then one day, the biggest collector who had the nicest skins said that one of the other guys was like going to borrow one of his knives that was worth somewhere around $2,000. And yeah, that's a lot for a digital item, but in the CSGO world, that's not even in like the top 1% of most expensive knives. So he was gonna let him borrow it in return for his like $500 knife, and sure, it was a little bit weird, but he trusted them because they had been friends for like a year. So the day comes, they trade the knife, and they play together that entire day. Everyone's acting normal. The guy's like, oh, it's so cool you're letting me borrow this knife, and everything's fine. And then the next day, they wake up, and they see in the middle of the night that that guy had left the Discord server, had unfriended everybody, blocked everybody, and a few of them had like exchanged phone numbers and whatnot, and he had blocked everybody's phone number. And so it becomes very apparent that the guy, like, just scammed his friend. And it was really brutal because, like I said, it was like one of your best friends that you had talked to every day for a year just deciding to like steal from you when you were being a nice guy and letting him borrow something, even after you guys had traded items back and forth forever. And it's not like this guy had nothing. Like, the guy who had scammed him did have $20,000 worth of CSGO skins. It's not like he needed to scam this dude to pay rent or something. He just robbed him. And immediately everybody in the group is insanely pissed off, and they're like, dude, I can't believe he would do that. He really went undercover in our group for like a year to gain our trust just to steal some skins. Who does that? And the guy who got scammed is insanely pissed because, yeah, $2,000 is a lot of money to be scammed out of. But he was more mad with himself because he was like, well, I trusted the guy, so he couldn't go to Steam and say anything because he had sent the trade. So the guy had just really screwed him over. And the group that entire day was just talking about how they wish that they could get his knife back and how they wish there's something they could do. And finally, one of them is like, okay, well, what if we come up with a way to get all the items back? And he's like, well, what do you mean? What if one of us goes undercover to him and says that we're going to scam the rest of the group and we want some advice on how to do it because he just did it successfully? And over time, we'll build up his trust, and eventually he'll send me the items because I'll cash them out and I'll just give everyone their skins back. And everybody is kind of like a little nervous because after somebody does that, it's not like you want to trust somebody with a plan like that, but they eventually agree that, yeah, all right, like, let's do it. Let's get our skins back. Or at the bare minimum, let's mess with him and waste his time. So one of them ends up finding a way to contact him that he hadn't blocked him on and was like, yo, I'm not mad. I think I'm going to scam the group and leave too. I'm going to get a lot of the skins. Can you tell me what to do? And this guy, like an idiot, takes the bait. Like, listen, you should never steal from your friends. I think it's stupid that he would ever steal from them, especially something so expensive. Like, that's just corny. But you especially should not be, like, messaging the people in the group bragging about it and then trying to help them get away with more robberies. Like, what's wrong with you, bro? No shame whatsoever. But they start talking back and forth, and over time, they just kind of start to open up more about the scamming thing, because he thinks this other guy in the group is about to scam the rest of them. And I don't know if it was guilty conscious or what, but he's like, oh, it's nice to know that I wasn't the only person that saw how easy that group would be to, like, take the skins from, haha. Just totally self-reporting about how the entire time he had been their friend, it was basically to earn their trust, because he's giving the guy in the group, who's just feeding all this information to the group, like, yeah, I didn't actually like anyone, I thought everyone was annoying, but I knew that if I got them to trust me, I could get their skins. Just total evil behavior, like Disney villain evil level behavior. Anyways, the time comes and the guy's like, okay, you need to trade me all your skins so I can tell them that I scammed everyone. And everyone's really nervous to do it. Because imagine they were just in cahoots the whole time and now his plan is to get all their skins and dip. And I don't recommend giving anyone your skins. Like, I'll be honest, if someone in your group gets scammed and they come up with a plan like this, I don't know that I would give my skins away. I'm not gonna lie. It's good for the story, like it ends up working out for them, but you never know if this person is just gonna cut and run with all the skins. But they send all of their skins to the undercover guy, and so now he has all these skins, and altogether it's about $35,000 worth of CSGO skins. And even though that's what they're worth, if you were to cash out, you would have to take a little bit of a discount probably, just because like people don't pay real money for skins incredibly often. It does happen, like it is a big economy, but selling $35,000 worth of skins for cash right away as fast as possible would net you a little bit less than that. But he takes screenshots of all these skins and he sends it to the original scammer and is like, okay man, look, I got all these skins, isn't this sick? Look at how much I scammed them for. And the guy is hyped, like he is stoked that this guy has managed to rob all of his friends that he had been hanging out with every day for the last year, just pretending to be their friend. I know I've said that a lot, but I just can't believe it, dude. He really said, I'm going deep undercover for some video game skins. And he's hyping him up. He's like, yo, that's the biggest scam I've ever seen. Congratulations, man. I've never had one that big, which implies that he has just been going from group to group scamming people. Like, this is what the guy did. So they weren't too thrilled to hear that. But whatever, he's like, what are you going to do with all the skins now that you got them? Are you just going to hold on to them and let them go up in value? Because at the time, the skin industry, skin economy, I don't know what you would call it. Like, skins were going up in value. They kind of fluctuate. But whatever, he's like, are you just going to hang on to them? And he said, no, I think I'm going to cash out. And cashing out, I don't know too much about it, but from the way this guy explains it, it's like if people scam skins and cash out, there's certain places where someone can like report it and whatnot, and it can cause issues, so not everyone cashes out. I don't know if that's how it works. I'm not claiming to be the expert here, but apparently like it was kind of a pain to cash out, especially this large of an amount. And the guy who originally scammed the dude for the $2,000 knife is like, oh, I want to cash out too, but I know people are watching the inventory and I don't want them to know where I cashed out at. And he says, well, dude, since we both scammed the same group, how about we make a deal? I'll cash out your skins for you and send you the money. And you would think, considering this guy is a scam artist who stole a $2,000 knife, that he would realize that if he sends this guy the skins, he's never going to get them back. I mean, he thinks this guy just stole $35,000 worth of skins from people he pretended to be friends with for a year. Why he would trust them is beyond me, but whatever. The guy is an absolute moron, and he's like, oh, that'd be so sick. Thank you. I've been wanting to cash out, but I haven't had the time to do it. and he promises him that he'll cash him out and he only wants like a 5% fee for doing all the work. And he's like, deal, no problem. And before the end of that day, that guy sends not only the $2,000 knife he had scammed, but starts sending over like all of these skins that he wants to sell. And it ends up being like another $5,000 worth of skins. So $7,000 to him to cash out. And so he sends the skins over, he gets them to his inventory, and like for the first 3 days, he pretends that he's trying to sell them. And he's like, oh man, no one's buying, no one's buying, no one's buying. And he's like, oh, it's okay, someone will buy it eventually. And finally, on the third night, he just unadds the original scammer, blocks him on everything, and trades everybody back all of their items. And so they get all of their items. They're like, yo, this is sick. And he even takes all the extra skins that the guy had sent him and distributes it amongst the group, you know, is like, all right, everybody gets a little bit because he sent even more. And I know some people are going to be like, oh, it was mean. But listen, you know what else is mean? Pretending to be someone's friend for a year to steal their CSGO skins. And he didn't tell him to send more. It wasn't like he was like, send your entire inventory. He just chose to send that all extra. So whatever, they distribute all the skins and whatnot. And then what's really nuts is you think the guy would realize he got scammed and go, oh, that's crazy, I'm gonna leave them alone. They're not a group to mess with. They got me to send over all of my skins. Like, let's just be even. But no, he unblocks the ones whose phone number he has, and he starts sending them like threatening text messages. And he was threatening them, being like, I'm gonna show up at your house unless you give me the skins back. Like, I'm serious, I will pull up to your house unless you give me my skins back. And I don't think he expected the response he got. The person that he decided to threaten the most lived in the same town as him, which is why I think he was like, oh, if I threaten to show up at his house, he'll give me it back. But instead, the guy, who happened to also be the guy he took the $2,000 knife from, said, okay, pull up. I mean, you had literally robbed this dude, man. What did you expect him to say? Like, he said, pull up, man. All right, you really want to fight me? You want to beat me up to get your skins back? Go for it. After you stole my $2,000 knife, please pull up to my house. Which I don't recommend doing, but at the same time, it's funny how miraculously, as soon as he says, okay, show up and we'll fight, the tone shifts dramatically. And he's like, oh, I will show up to your house. I really will. Trust me, I'll do it. But if you give me the skins back right now, I'll give you this one-time, very limited, special offer, super limited. I won't fight you if you give me all the skins back, plus the knife I stole from you. Which I could get the argument for, like, give me back the stuff that I gave you guys extra. I could understand that. I really don't know where he's coming from by also demanding that they give him back the stuff he stole from them. Like, hey guys, listen, it's getting a little bit out of control. How about you give me all the stolen merchandise back and I go freely on my way with absolutely no consequences. Deal? Deal. I think that deal works out a little bit too good for you and not good for everybody else. So he says, no, I want to fight you. This is not going to be settled like this. And the guy who originally scammed the person from the group starts being like, I don't know what your issue is. Why do you have beef with me? And the guy he stole from can't believe what he's hearing. Like, what do you mean you don't know why I have beef with you? You literally stole something from me. Like, 100% confirmed. We know you stole it. Did you expect me to be cool with it? Like, thank you for robbing me? Aw, dude. Aw, seriously, thank you so much. Oh, I love not having my expensive items so much better than having it. Aw, seriously, dude. You really freed me from that prison of owning expensive stuff. What did you expect the reaction to be? And he's like, whatever, go ahead and be dramatic and immature. Yes, he's immature for being mad at you from stealing from him. Stealing from him a very expensive item. I think the more immature thing is like destroying your friendships and robbing your friends for a CSGO knife. I understand that he was probably just pretending to be their friend the entire time, but you know what's really immature? Spending an entire year pretending to be someone's friend just so you can steal their CSGO knife. Like, think about how much dedication that is for such little reward. I understand CSGO items are very cool, but really think about it. A year of your life for like one item. Okay, whatever trade-off you want, go for it. But then he says the coup d'etat of the dumbest thing of all time. He says that he thought they were gonna let him get away with it because they would have understood that he had just outsmarted them. What? You thought that they were gonna hear that you robbed them and then be like, he really outsmarted us, we're just cool with it now. I don't think that's anyone's attitude. I don't think like a museum with a super intense security system, if you broke in and steal all the paintings from the museum, they're gonna be pissed. I don't think they're gonna be like, wow, the dedication those guys had to stealing paintings was next level, I'll just let them get away with it. Obviously this guy was gonna go through any means to get his stuff back. I think anyone would. Like, if you have the chance to get your stuff back from someone that stole from you, you're gonna take it. I think literally anyone in his position would have. But whatever, at that point, the guy who he had stolen from blocked him, just decided that would be the end of it, and they all blocked him. But to this day, every now and then, he'll like make a new account and hit some of them up trying to be like, you guys still owe me my skins, and every time they all just kind of mess with him. Like, let it go, dude. After try 3 of trying to get it back, you should realize it's never coming back. Overall, though, I would not recommend stealing people's CSGO skins or stealing their items in general, whether they be virtual or real. I just feel like stealing's not very swagged out. That being said, though, it was a pretty entertaining story time, and if you guys enjoyed the video, I'd appreciate y'all taking a second to press the like button. Let me know what you thought in the comment section down below, and of course, subscribe if you're new and turn on those notifications. I've been posting daily again, so you don't want to miss out. If you like the story times, but you don't have time to watch the gameplay, you want to listen offline, whatever floats your boat, I post them on Spotify, link down below. And there's also going to be a link to the new playlist I made here on YouTube that has my favorite story times of the year, so check that out as well. And yeah, on that note, guys, I think that'll do it. Don't get anyone pregnant. If you do, make sure they're hot. I'm out. Peace. What's going on, guys? It's your boy Scrub here, back again with another video. Hope you guys are having a great day. I know I am. And today I've got a story time that was sent in by a subscriber that I've never really talked about before, but basically this dude got scammed by somebody he thought was a friend who was like pretending to be a stock investor, but in reality was just pocketing all the bans. Honestly, the situation I just kind of felt like making a video about because it was crazy to read about, and I felt like it would be a good way to let y'all know that you gotta be careful, bro. Just because somebody kind of sounds like they know what they're talking about doesn't mean you should trust them with money. But before we get into it, be sure to press the like button, otherwise no joke, no scam whatsoever, you're gonna get scammed. And that's not very swag, and without further ado, let's get into it. Alright, so the main character of this story we're gonna call Tony, and Tony was a freshman in college when all of this went down. He had a job at a pizza place and, you know, worked a lot but was not making a lot of money. Working an hourly job does kind of suck, but it's something that everybody just kind of has to do. You gotta start at the bottom of the totem pole. I've worked those jobs, and yeah, it does definitely suck when somebody tells you that like an hour of your time is worth $7.25, but it is what it is. But obviously, when you're working that job, you want to make more money. So Tony started like Googling ways to make more money, just kind of trying to find ways to get money on the side. And everything he saw kind of said that like investing in the stock market was a good way to do it. Obviously, it's been like incredibly popular over the last year for everybody to be investing in the stock market. So, you know, he kind of was like, oh, this is a great way to make a bunch of money. And he started doing research on stocks himself and kind of realized that it was very complicated. And to be honest, unless you're like a hedge fund investor or really know what you're doing, you can make money on the stock market, but you're never gonna like quadruple your money in 4 days. You know what I mean? So he started talking to a couple of his friends, and a couple of his friends mentioned that they knew this dude named Dennis. And they introduced him to him, and Dennis starts talking about how he makes all this money on the stock market. He's the best investor ever. He's making like 5% a day. And I'm gonna tell you right now, that's total BS, all right? Like, yes, you know, there has been times where I've personally gotten insanely lucky and gotten like 20% in a day, but those are few and far in between. You know, that does not happen on a daily basis. If this dude was averaging 5% a day, he would be like a multi-billionaire. The S&P 500, which is like the 500 biggest companies in America, grows at like 7% a year. So this dude is basically saying he does almost what that does in a year every single day without fail. But you know, he's saying all the buzzwords, he's saying everything that sounds right, so Tony decides to trust him. He's like, wow, this guy really seems like he knows what he's doing. This is a great idea. So he asks if Dennis will invest money for him. And Dennis says, yeah, but you know, I'm gonna take a 10% fee of anything you give me just because of all the hard work that I'm doing. And he also mentions that it's risky. There is a chance that he might lose all of his money, just kind of trying to like cover his butt, just in case the money disappears. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. And Tony started off by giving him $1,000 to invest. And that's not like a crazy large amount of money to start investing with. It's a great start, don't get me wrong. But, just to give you guys an idea of how absolutely insane what this guy was promising was, after a week, he would have like $1,200-ish. After a month, he would have $2,600. Okay, that seems reasonable. After a year, though, if he actually could average 5% a day consistently and never failed, it would be like $157 million. So, that's the issue. You might be able to get lucky and get 5% a day, maybe like twice a year. But yeah, if you're actually able to average 5% a day every single day, you're like a billionaire. You have no reason to be taking $1,000 from kids on college campuses. Anyways, he gives him the money, and for about a month, he believes that it's working. He's sending him like these fake statements, kind of showing that his money is growing, kind of showing him that everything's working the way it's supposed to, and he's really, really excited. But after about a month, he ends up damaging his car's transmission. So he's like, crap, bro, I'm gonna need a bunch of money to fix this. He didn't have enough in his savings account. So he goes to Dennis and he's like, hey, can I have $700? At that point, apparently he's got almost $3,000, so he doesn't think it's gonna be a big deal. But Dennis really does not want to give him the money, bro. He's like doing everything he can to avoid actually giving him the money back. And, going back and forth, he's like, no, I need my $700. And finally, Dennis is like, fine, but it's going to take me a couple days to get it for you. And after a few days, Dennis like comes over to his dorm room, gives him the money, acting all pissed off, like it was the most annoying thing in the world. And obviously, Tony is like, well, that's kind of weird, I guess, but, he got his money, so he doesn't think anything is too off. But this is the first time that like the red flag started to get raised. He started to be like, maybe something isn't really as it seems, because if this guy's really making all this money, this should be no big deal for him. He's really like acting like me withdrawing $700 is the end of the world. Anyways, he gets his car fixed and he ends up going down to his hometown like a week later, and he's talking to his dad about everything going on, about work and whatnot. And he starts telling his dad about this Dennis guy and, how he's getting 5% a day. He's already 3x'd his money, blah, 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 blah. And his dad immediately points out like, yeah, that's definitely too good to be true and something suspect. I would make sure that everything is what he's saying it is, because that's not possible. His dad just had more experience. It wasn't even like his dad was a stock trader or anything. Just over the years of like having a 401k, he realized that there was absolutely no way that this kid was telling the truth. But Tony ends up getting like super defensive of Dennis, saying that he's not stupid enough to get scammed. This guy's a genius. His dad's just jealous because, he never was in a position to make all this money. He's getting really, really defensive about the fact that his dad is even insinuating he could get scammed. And listen, dude, I understand getting defensive, like not wanting to admit that somebody pulled one over on you. But if your dad is honestly just telling you like this doesn't seem right, that's definitely not the worst thing in the world, okay? Like, it's okay. You can admit that you were dumb to your dad. I promise you he's seen you do stupider things. If he's your dad, he's watched you crap your pants. That's a pretty stupid thing to do. And honestly, it's not even that embarrassing to be getting scammed in these types of situations. Like, Bernie Madoff literally stole billions of dollars from millionaires that knew what they were talking about with money. It's not like it's that bad. Like, okay, obviously it's not good. You should stop it once you realize you're getting scammed. But it's not like you're an idiot that can never be redeemed again. This happens to people. But at that point, he gets defensive. He leaves his parents' house, but the wheels are turning. And he decides that when he gets back to college, he's gonna have to ask Dennis what's going on, seeing the accounts, how it works, just like make sure everything is actually doing what he says it. And he texts him and kind of like starts asking questions. And Dennis is just super dismissive of it. He's like, bro, I'm super busy right now, dude. I've got a lot going on. I really don't have time for this. You have time to take his money. You don't have time to show him that your money is safe, though. He just starts like being really weird. And before this, he's been incredibly nice, super responsive. But now that he's asking questions, I'm not cool with that anymore. And he ends up like sending another text kind of being like, I need you to give me a date on when you're going to show me everything. You being busy doesn't matter. I have to see everything. And he never ever got a reply again, dude. It was as if, the guy just blocked everybody. So he tells his friends that are still at the school that had also given him money and told him about the guy in the first place. And obviously they start kind of freaking out, realizing that they might have also been scammed, and they had given a lot more money than Tony did. So they're kind of like, oh my God, if this guy's a scammer, then I might really be screwed here. And they immediately like go to his dorm room to see if anything's going on. All right, guys, I'm gonna interrupt the video for just 1 second. On screen now is actually a Roblox gift card. I give away a gift card in every single video I post here on this channel as a way to just say thank you to you guys for being subscribed and watching the videos. So, you know, if you appreciate the gift card, subscribe, turn on notifications. And if you already have those on, then big thank you, you're an absolute god, and yeah, I'll shut up and get back to the video, thanks. Anyways, when they go over and they knock on the apartment door, nobody answers, so they start knocking harder, and one of Dennis's roommate kind of like opens the door and is kind of confused, and obviously the guys start asking for Dennis, and the confusion increases even more. And he kind of explains that, like, Dennis had literally, like, just left. He had packed up all of his stuff, said that he was dropping out of school and going back home, and then just, like, dipped with all of his stuff. He had literally, like, moved out in a hurry. Once he realized that this guy wasn't gonna let it slide and, like, was gonna demand to actually see everything, he knew the game was up, so he just dipped, bro. Literally just cut his losses and dipped. All in all, I guess amongst everybody that he had like scammed, he ended up getting like $30,000. And don't get me wrong, that's a lot of money. Like, that's a lot of money. But I feel like that's not like drop out of college, have to be on the run for a while, have to leave your life behind and like screw over all your friends' money. You know, definitely not the brightest scammer to also scam people that know who you are, like your full legal name and everything too. Oh, yeah, they'll never find me. I just went back home. Like, bro, you had some of them added on Facebook. Just definitely didn't think this through. And he ended up getting to the airport and getting back home before, like, anyone really knew what was up. And at that point, he was across the country, so they did end up report it to the police. But unless he was, like, dumb enough to come back to the school or come back to the state, like, they kind of were like, yeah, chances are there's not really going to be too much done about it. Which is super wild to me, bro. Like, whatever. He's just went home, man. He's just vibing. What's crazier, though, is that it's not like this guy just did all that and then disappeared. He had the balls to actually reach out a few months later and try to, like, explain what had happened to everybody. Obviously, everyone knew what had happened, but he came up with the excuse that he had actually been investing it the entire time. He had just made some bad investments and lost it all and didn't know how to tell them. And, you know, a couple of the people who were, like, kind of trying to at least hear him out ended up saying, if that's true, then, like, send us the transactions of your bad trades. Like, send us you losing the money. And at that point, he said, like, he was too embarrassed to log back into the account and he just wasn't going to be able to do that. So obviously at that point, everyone's like, nah, he had just taken the money and spent it from the very beginning. He had never even tried to invest it, bro. Honestly, he probably didn't even have a brokerage account. It was just in his bank account. He's like, whatever, I'm just doing my thing. Even then, bro, if you had made bad investments, there would still have been something left, like just a little bit of something, unless you literally like had purposely done a strategy that makes you lose all of your money if you mess up. You would have been able to recoup some value unless you're like an idiot. So obviously that was just cap, but surprisingly, like nothing ever really came of it. No one ever really hunted him down because he had spent like 30 grand spread out against a bunch of people. Nobody really wanted to like chase him down states away and go through all the hassle for, you know, the 2-3 grand that they had given him. So honestly, the dude kind of got away with it, which is wild to me, bro. Like, he still hasn't ever been back to that state, and he probably shouldn't go back there because it's still in the reports there. But yeah, this dude basically like did a little Ponzi scheme on the people that he went to college with, and then when he got caught, just cut his losses and moved home. Hey mom, sorry that I had to drop out of college. You wouldn't understand. I tried to run a Ponzi scheme. You know, you've ever done that before? And they're like, no, I've never done that before. Ever. Well, maybe you should. It's a lot of fun. Like, come on, dude. I also love that he said he made bad investments. You know, usually that would be like screenshots of him picking a bad like stock right before it crashes. He probably just invested it in cocaine, let's be honest here. He was like, you know, I'm gonna invest it in having a good time so that way I can think better about what to invest in tomorrow. But the one positive about this though is that Tony did end up learning about investing after it. Like after he got scammed, he decided he didn't want to get scammed again, so he just learned about it. Which is honestly what I can say to a lot of you guys. Like I don't get a lot of comments. I do see some though, like, oh, how do I make money? How do I do this? I'll tell you this, bro. Learn it yourself. Don't just trust somebody that's telling you stuff that's too good to be true. And even then, be realistic with what people are telling you, bro. You're never gonna be able to turn $1,000 into $3 million in 2 years by like Forex trading. Anyone that's telling you that you're gonna be able to just print money out of thin air with absolutely no hard work or anything is just lying to you. So be careful, don't get scammed, especially if it's somebody that's willing to just, like, I don't know, drop out of college, waste tens of thousands of dollars and leave. Anyways, guys, I think that's going to do it for the video, though. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you did, I would really appreciate you taking a second to press the like button. Let me know in the comments section down below what you thought of the video. And as always, if you don't know what to comment, go ahead and comment the word turd, which is what I did to this guy who griefed me. He blew up my cargo. It's so sad. Anyways, guys, other than that, I did end up putting a few of my older story times up on Spotify because I had been getting comments saying that you guys wanted them up on there. So if you want to check those out, I ended up putting a link to it in the description, so go check that out. And also in the description is a link to the merch, which is pretty fantastic. You should go cop it if you haven't yet. And last but certainly not least, if you use code SCRUBBY at the G Fuel checkout, you get yourself a hefty discount. Helps me out, helps you out, everyone's a winner. But yeah, on that note, that's everything I gotta plug. Thank you so much to everybody who watches the videos, notification, has ever liked, commented, all that good stuff. Don't get anyone pregnant. If you do, make sure they're hot, and hopefully I will see you guys all next time with another video. I'm out. Peace. Ba-da-ba-ba. McDonald's. What's going on, guys? It's your boy Scrub here, back again with another video. Hope you guys are all having an absolutely fantastic day. I know I am, and if you are, be sure to press the like button. Otherwise, no joke, no scam whatsoever. Your kid's gonna be stupid, and trust me, you do not want that to happen, ladies and gentlemen. That is a big sad face moment. Anyways, guys, today I have a story time about this kid that ran around scamming everybody at my school. The video I made about the kid who stole all the money at the school in the first place, you guys seem to really enjoy, so I figured I would tell this one too. I was a little more involved in this one, not in the scamming side, but like the whole, you know, catching the scam thing. Regardless, it should be a pretty funny video because this kid who was scamming everybody was just an absolute savage, and yeah, without further ado, let's get into it.
Archives did it again.
Yeah. High school or December, not a memory. Too high like I'm in the nether.
Alright, ladies and gentlemen, so as long as there's been people who have too much money, there's been people that try to figure out how to get it away from those people. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes it's like inventing a product, making people buy a new iPhone every year, whatever it is, to separate stupid people from their money. But sometimes people just start like making stuff up to trick people out of their money, and that's what we call a scam. And for the most part, they're pretty immoral. Like, personally, I feel like tricking people out of their money just makes me feel bad. But some people, bro, can sleep just good at night with a binky that they stole from a 3-month-old that was sleep deprived. You know, some people really just have no morals whatsoever. And there was one kid that I went to middle school with who just seemed like one of those people, dude. Any chance he had to like screw somebody over, he would take, even if he didn't have to. You know what I mean? Like, if he could find a way to make sure everybody in his class failed and he got an A, he was gonna do it. He just only cared about himself all the time. That was the only thing that he ever cared about, you know? And nothing's wrong with being a little selfish, I guess, but it starts to get into trouble when this kid became known as a scammer at our school. He would scam kids out of their own homework, dude. I don't know if this kid had the silver tongue or what, but unironically, he would just convince people to like give them their homework so he could copy it, and then he would erase their name, write his name on it, turn it in, and then be like, I don't know what you're talking about, to the teachers. That's how he first got his reputation as a little bit of a scammer. He would do that relatively often, just like take people's homework and erase their name and put his on it, and he would tell these people to get their homework, really sad sob stories, you know, oh, my dog just bit my grandma, and now my grandma has rabies, and she was foaming at the mouth trying to eat me the other day, like stuff like that, so you would feel bad for him and give him your homework, because, you know, hey, who has time to be doing their homework when their grandma has rabies? Next thing you know, he's like, oh, sorry, yeah, I lost it, and he's turning in your homework with his name on it. So that's when I first realized that this dude was pretty sketchy, but for whatever reason, everybody else in the school was just like, yeah, sure, he's willing to steal homework. Yeah, sure, he lies all the time about, you know, his grandma being bitten by a rabid dog to get attention, but whatever, he can't be that bad. Like, everybody at our school just ignored every red flags that this kid would be willing to steal from people, right? Anyways, one time this kid comes into class and he's using a cast to walk, or crutches to walk around, and he has a cast on his ankle. And he starts telling everybody that he has a rare disease called, and I'm not kidding you, the name that he said of the disease was hyperphlegobladalgia. And I was like, okay, this is obviously cap because diseases don't make you put a cast on your ankle, bro. Like, if you broke your ankle, you know, sure, they'd put you on a cast, but he walked in limping around with crutches and a cast on because of hepatitis. Like, it just made no sense. So immediately I knew he was capping, bro. I was like, there's no way that this kid has and everybody else at the school, for whatever reason, was just like, oh my God, you poor baby, you poor thing. If there's anything we can do for you, let us know. All the teachers started babying him, dude. They were like, you don't have to do any homework. I understand. You know, my grandma has suffered from a disease. It's like, bro, everyone's grandma has had a disease at one point, Miss Applebottom, okay? Like, they're old people. That's what they do. But this kid is not actually sick. And what makes it even funnier, dude, is this kid was just genuinely, like, not even trying to convince people this was real. The next day, after he had come to school and convinced everybody he had flippia, he walks into school with his crutches and his cast, but the cast is on the other foot. Like, apparently he had swapped ankles. So when I saw him at this, like, I said something to him about, you know, hey, kind of funny how your cast is on the other ankle. I wasn't trying to call him out, but like, at the same time, bro, I'm watching you convince all your teachers and stuff that you shouldn't be doing homework. Everybody's feeling bad for you and whatnot. And like, you're switching casts from ankle to ankle. And he just looked at me and tried to explain to me that this disease that he had, you know, basically broke a different one of his ankles every day, but it also sped up the bone healing process so that, you know, the other ankle was healed by now. This dude was trying to convince me that he had a disease that would break one of his ankles every single day, a different ankle, but the other one would be healed in 24 hours. So this guy basically just had the crappiest Wolverine powers ever. He's like, yeah, my bones will heal, but they also break themselves. Like, that does not sound very pleasant. So whatever, I decided to do this thing where I'm gonna Google this disease that he has. So I Google it. Sure enough, it doesn't exist. Like, listen, man, if you're gonna pretend to have a disease that breaks your ankles, at least go through the effort to like Google a disease that actually happens with, you know? Don't just freeball it and be like, oh no, there's this rare disease that breaks my ankles every day. But whatever, bro. I wasn't going to say anything because no one was going to believe me, dude. Like, the entire school genuinely felt so bad for this kid. They were sending home newsletters. Like, it was so awkward, bro, because everybody was just buying it, man. And regardless, he starts using it to get out of, like, PE because his ankles are hurting. He was using it to get out of homework, and I already had told you guys about that because the teachers had felt bad for him, dude. But he even started trying to use it, like, we had a group project, you know, and one of my friends was in his group. I was not in his group, thank God. But he started telling them that, like, he wasn't going to be able to do any work on the group project because his ankles really bug him when he tries to do schoolwork too much. Like, oh, yes, I've heard of that disease, dude. Everybody knows the disease that flares up whenever you have to do a group project, man. Wow, that sounds really difficult. Like, the kid was just, you know, capping on everybody. So my friend, like, obviously knew he was full of it, but all the girls in the group were like, oh my God, of course, like, anything you need, dude. The people were just too nice. The problem with being too nice to people is sometimes when things don't add up, you just shouldn't believe it, you know? But everybody at the school that was, like, trying to just make this kid feel good because they thought he was suffering, and, like, I get it, you know, you're trying to be a good person, but what disease makes you incapable of doing work on a group project? Like, come on. Anyways, this kid's scam gets a little bit more intricate when he starts going around to kids saying that, like, he's gonna need money, you know, to help with the treatments for his disease and whatnot. And instead of, like, going to the school and organizing it, you know, and having, like, a charity drive or anything like that, he starts saying that his parents were too embarrassed to ask for help, and he just wants cash donations from students, but he doesn't want them to tell their parents about the donations because he doesn't want them to feel bad. And people in our school, for whatever reason, are just like, oh yeah, that makes perfect sense. Like, come on, dude. Are you serious? Oh, yeah, I need money, but we can't go to the school. You can't tell your teachers. You can't tell your parents. You just have to give me money for my ankle disease that breaks my ankles every morning. Like, bro. And people unironically were doing it. I've said this before. I went to a school where some kids just had a little bit too much money, or should I say their mommy and daddy had too much money, and, like, you know, we're just giving it to the kids to do it with it. So people were bringing this kid, like, $50 bills, $100 bills, and being like, I hope everything gets better. This kid was caking, bro. Unironically just caking all the money. And everybody was feeling bad for him. And this goes up for like a week. I think he was collecting donations, which, you know, say what you want. He was trying to get the bag. There is something really messed up about faking an illness to get the bag, in my opinion. That's just a personal anecdote. But sadly, even this dude, who was apparently smart enough to convince the school of all this, did end up messing up pretty damn bad in front of everybody. So obviously, everybody was feeling bad for this kid, giving him money and whatnot. So when there was a pep rally assembly, our dean was like, all right, I want this kid to come up here so we can all, you know, congratulate him on being so awesome. And the kid, like, had gone up and something had happened, and somehow while walking up the stage he had like slipped and fell, right? Except the only problem is he was supposed to be on crutches with a hurt ankle. So he slips and he falls and he like throws the crutches out from under him and falls, and immediately just like gets back up, runs over to his crutches and picks him up. And by the time he even realizes why that was so bad, you know, the entire school is kind of like, wait, what? Your ankles aren't broken? Because like he had run towards the crutches with the cast on his foot, bro. And the thing is, it wasn't a cast like one of those hard casts. It was more of like a boot thing that he probably just like took from his dad's closet and put on from his backpack once his dad had driven away. Like, it wasn't a real cast thing, dude. So everybody is kind of like, wait, hold on. And the kid, instead of being like, all right, you got me, it's been a good run, I've made all these money from these people, dude, I will never forget, he gets up and goes, it's a miracle, and started trying to be like, oh my god, I don't know how I'm healed, but I'm healed, my ankle feels amazing, wow, it's the power of friendship. So here's this kid running around, oh my god, it's a miracle, and the entire school is just kind of like, so sure enough, after the fact, people are like kind of starting to realize that none of this stuff makes any sense, which is, it's flabbergasting that it took to this point for people to start putting it together. And I'm going to be honest, people in the comments are going to be like, your teachers are dumb, your teachers are this. He wasn't like, he told the teachers that he was sick, you know, but he wasn't really guilt tripping the teachers that much. Like, they just thought he was some kid with crutches that everybody felt bad for, you know? Like, yeah, they gave him some breaks on homework and whatnot, but he was smart enough to not try to play the people that would be really smart and be able to be like, hey, this is obviously cap. He just stuck to like everybody else in 7th grade who just didn't know anything and was willing to give him the ban. So he's running around, oh my god, it's a miracle, and everybody is now finally starting to realize the situation. So after the assembly thing, a couple of kids like go up to him and start pressing him a little bit, like, all that money we gave you, like, you're not even sick. And he starts being like, well, to be fair, I didn't tell you that the money was gonna go to like medical treatment. I just said it was going towards my treatment, and it has. And he starts explaining to them that like he was sad, but he's taken the money that they've given him and bought an Xbox and the new Call of Duty, and like technically it's a treatment for his happiness, so they should be happy for him, bro. He was trying to convince the people that had given him money because they thought he was like sick that it was perfectly okay because technically he had bought himself treatments for happiness because he had bought an Xbox, bro. Like, listen, man, if you scam people and they're talking to you, asking why you scammed them, you don't go, well, to be fair, I did buy an Xbox and it was pretty sick. Like, the balls that you have to look at the people that gave you money and be like, thanks, by the way, the Xbox that I got with it is super sick, is pretty impressive, dude. And I'm gonna be honest, I know a lot of people are gonna be like, haha, what a savage. Yeah, the kid was a savage, but at the same time, dude, I really can't say that, like, I think the kid was that, and like, what he did was wrong. But the fact that people were stupid enough to believe it is even more wrong. You know what I'm saying? People that are stupid and are going to try to steal money are going to exist. Like Bernie Madoff happened, bro. That guy stole like $111 billion. So the least that you should do for yourself is always realize, take a second and go, does this make any sense? And if you say no and keep believing it, then you're the stupid one, bro. Because guess what? Everybody with a brain was not giving this kid money because everyone with a brain could see right through it. So regardless, bro, people are all mad at him, and he's explaining that, like, technically he bought happiness and they were not really having it that much. And, you know, I'm not saying that violence is the answer, but there were a few altercations centering around the fact that this kid had basically stolen money from a bunch of people by guilt tripping them into like feeling bad for him, you know. And the kid, actually, the ball's on this kid. He didn't transfer schools, nothing. He just really just toughed it out till the end of middle school. He did go to a different high school than most of the people that I went to middle school with, but yeah, no cap, he was pretty proud of it. Like, every year he would make jokes after the fact. So this happened in 7th grade. And in 8th grade, he would make jokes about how, like, he was going to go on to be the next Ponzi scheme runner. Like, this kid really had no shame whatsoever. Definitely a little bit of, like, a sociopath, because he stole all this money from people, convincing him he was sick, and was like, whatever, and legitimately did not care. Like, would brag about the fact that he had gotten away with it to new teachers or new kids because he just thought it made him the coolest person ever. Yeah, that's just what it is sometimes. Occasionally, people are going to try to bamboozle you, but, you know, if the ankle that they've broken is changing every day, it should be pretty obvious that none of this makes any sense. Regardless, guys, moral of the story, keep an eye out. If something seems fishy, it probably is fishy. And, you know, you don't got to go out of your way and be telling every kid with a broken ankle in school that it's fake, because you don't know. I guess you don't know, but if somebody has a broken ankle and starts begging for money, I'm going to tell you this now, just don't give it to them, because that just really does not make sense. Or if they are going to beg for money, they do it through the school and your parents would be allowed to know about it. Anyways, guys, I think that's going to do it for the video. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you did, please be sure to press the like button. Let me know in the comment section down below what you thought of the video. If you liked it, if you didn't, I guess it's totally up to you. Follow me on Twitter at Scrubby_69. My Instagram is just at Scrubby. And I am going to plug this, the OG Sub Club merch. You might want to get it before it's gone. The main channel has actually been doing better, so the 2 mil is coming. Be sure to get it if you haven't already. If you like the intro song, a link will be down below in the description. Feel free to check it out. I guess no pressure. And yeah, on that note, guys, don't get anyone pregnant. If you do, make sure they're hot. And hopefully I will see you guys all tomorrow with another video. I'm out. Peace. What's going on, guys? It's your boy Scrub here, back again with another video. Hope you guys are having a great day. I know I am, and today I've got a story time for y'all that I think you're gonna really enjoy that involves a scammer losing absolutely everything. Yeah, that's right, ladies and gentlemen. Stealing people's Xbox accounts is not the way that you should be living life, okay? It's mean and it's not very swag. Realistically, though, getting revenge on somebody who brags about stealing stuff always is fun, so I figured I would tell the story time. So without further ado, let's get into it, and press the like button, or no joke, no scam, you'll get cursed. It's like an eagle stacking so much money you would think that it's illegal.
I'm getting quiet now. Laying low when you're rich, so I'm wiping down. Making out, stack the bread, cause you love the sound. Just so my head, I can.
Alright, so I've personally never been one to buy accounts for resale myself. I've always just felt like whenever I buy the account, the person that sold it to me is going to change the password back and keep all the money. Like, I don't know. I've always just felt kind of sketchy about it. That being said, it is very, very common in the gaming world, especially with certain games where cosmetic items can't be traded. Especially back in the day in like 2017, 2018 with Fortnite accounts, bro. People were paying like $700 for an account with a certain skin on it, the Black Knight, and don't even get me started if you had like a Ghoul Trooper skin. Like, people were selling their Xbox accounts for thousands of dollars back in the day. And at this school that we're going to be talking about today, there was a kid named Damien that saw an opportunity there to make some money, considering he went to a place where everybody was playing Fortnite. Damien was the type of guy who was willing to get his bag by any means necessary. You know, like, some people are like, yeah, I want to get rich, but I want to get rich, like, you know, helping people. Damien was like, hey, it doesn't matter if I have to stomp on a toddler to get the bag. As long as I get the bag, that's what matters, bro. He, you know, would literally have done anything for money, and not in a good way. Like, in the type of way where he's like, oh yeah, you want me to whack your grandma? No problem, bro. How much money? Anyways, in his desperation for money and realizing that Xbox accounts are worth something, he started scamming people out of their Xbox accounts. He had a couple ways he would do it. Sometimes he would, like, befriend people, get them to trust him and say they were gonna game share and then just take the account. Sometimes he would just, you know, threaten people to get their password. But regardless, he was stealing people's Xbox accounts. And this was before Epic linked to Epic Games. Like, your Xbox account was kind of what your skins were linked to. So he had to take the entire Xbox account in order to sell it for the Fortnite skins. And that's extra messed up, bro. Like, stealing somebody's account is already rude, but stealing somebody's Xbox account is just kinda cruel, dog. Because all their stuff is gone. It's not like it's just their Fortnite skins they lose, which would, suck, but dead game, whatever. No, they lose everything. It's their games, their friends, their memories, their clips. Like, once they lose that account, it's all gone. They can't get it back. And, yeah, the Damien kid didn't care. He had done it to a bunch of people, and for some reason, none of the kids at this school were, like, actually doing anything about it, like, physically. All the kids apparently wanted to knock him out, right? They wanted to smack the crap out of him, but they were at a private school. And because they were at a private school, none of them actually wanted to fight because they didn't want to get in trouble because their parents were paying for the tuition. And, like, it wasn't a situation where their parents were going to be understanding. Oh, you're telling me that you got expelled from the school that I was paying tens of thousands of dollars for because you were fighting with a kid over your Xbox account? Yeah, good luck explaining that to your parents, bro. I mean, I'm sure some of yours would get it, but for the most part, they'd be pissed that you got expelled from the school that they were just paying for. Anyways, it gets to the point where this Damien guy has nabbed like 8 accounts, 8. I will say, dude, by guy number like 4, you've just got to figure this out by now. If you're the 8th dude to get scammed by the same person that's been on a roll scamming your entire school, that's kind of on you. I'm not saying it's entirely your fault, but you are kind of an idiot if you're the 8th person to get scammed. Regardless, basically everyone and their mom wanted revenge on this dude for stealing all their stuff, whether or not they were idiots. And to make matters worse, Damien thought it was hilarious that he had stolen the accounts. Like, it's not like he was being smart about it. He was bragging about it to the people that he had just stolen from, which obviously doesn't go over very well. And one day they're in class and he kind of starts bragging about how he stole this account from everybody and sold it for this much, and now he spends the money on what he wants, blah, 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 blah. And there was this other kid kind of sitting at a table behind him named Dan that was overhearing it, and he just thought it was super douchey and rude of this guy. So for whatever reason, he decided to make it his mission for the rest of the year to get this guy back, get some revenge on this guy. And from that moment on, Dan just kind of started keeping an eye on Damien. Not in like a creepy going up to his window with binoculars and looking through way, but like when they were at school, he would just kind of see if he had any really weird behavior or anything he could use to try to get like the password and the Xbox account information out of the guy. He had sold the accounts, but everybody had hopes that they were going to be able to get everything back. Sadly, I don't think they did. He doesn't say later in the story that anyone got their Xbox account back, but, he wanted revenge on the guy, so he was just trying to figure out what was going on in the dealio and the bealio. And one thing that he can say from keeping an eye on this guy is that he was a super douche. Not only would he like convince people they were friends to steal their Xbox accounts, but this dude wasn't nice to anyone. He was mean to teachers, he was mean to other kids, he was mean to the lunch lady, bro. They had a lunch lady that, walked a little bit slower because she had a limp. And listen, it's supposed to be okay. And one day while Dan was watching Damien, he snapped his fingers at her and told her to hurry up. And then when she hurried up, he said he didn't understand why the school would hire someone like her. Like, this was not a very nice, fantastic dude. Anyways, I don't know if y'all's schools did this, but I understood what he was talking about here. Apparently, the school handed out, like, these agenda things to everyone at the beginning of the year that they were supposed to use to, keep everything organized. And in the agenda was this little section that it had for, like, organize your life for emails and passwords to all your accounts. And obviously, most of the kids hadn't used this. Personally, it's probably a really bad idea to be carrying around all your emails and passwords with you in one space, especially if it's like something you have with school with you at the time. It's not like you're writing it down on a post-it note on your desk. You literally are carrying around all your information in your backpack. So obviously, no one really used it because why would you? And anyways, Dan, sitting behind Damien in that same class, is watching him one day, and he's flipping through his agenda, and he notices just for a second that the email and password section on this guy's, agenda is totally filled in. Like, all of his logins are right there. And obviously, that's the big light bulb moment, bro. He realizes that if he's able to get his hands on the agenda, he'll be able to get into all this dude's accounts and get revenge for everybody. So, he starts trying to think of a way to get his hands on Damien's agenda. Alright, guys. guys, I'm gonna interrupt the video for just 1 second. On screen now is actually a PlayStation gift card. I give away a gift card in every video here on this channel as a way to just say thank you to everyone who's subscribed with notifications on. So, yeah, if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe and turn on those noties. I give away free money, you got nothing to lose, and on that note, let's get back to the video. Oh, use code Scrubby at the G Fuel checkout for a discount. That's also really cool, you should do that. And, thankfully, it was gonna be pretty easy to get his hands on everything in the binder because Damien wasn't a backpack kid. Nay, he was one of those super swag kids that just, you know, walked around with the binder out. And I don't know if other schools have this. Once again, I know exactly what he's talking about. We would call it binder checking. He calls it a different name here, but basically, I'm pretty sure this exists everywhere. You would just smack the shit out of the binder in somebody's hand to try to get their stuff to go everywhere. It's a nuisance. They have to stop and clean it up, and it's just really mean. It's just a mean thing kids used to do. But it would be very good at getting somebody's agenda out of their binder, you know? And yeah, it was a really mean prank. Like, you literally just walk up to a kid and smack his stuff out of his hands. But hey, if that's what you gotta do, that's what you gotta do. So Dan goes around asking if one of his friends would be willing to binder check Damien, because, you know, if he did it himself, it would make it a lot harder for him to grab the agenda. It would be obvious. And he had this friend named Tony that was this really big dude and had his account stolen by Damien, so he agrees to do it. And about an hour later, they're walking through the hallway, and Tony walks up behind Damien and just smacks his binder out of his hand. It hits the floor, the 3 rings open, and the papers just start flying absolutely everywhere. He's got folders flying everywhere, gum, agendas, papers, bro. At one point, I'm pretty sure somebody was like, oh my gosh, is that a gerbil? And in the chaos of it all, Dan sees the agenda kind of like fall out of the binder and hit the ground. And people are kind of walking and shuffling everywhere. So he kind of just grabs the agenda and takes off. And as he's taking off, Damien and Tony are kind of scrambling to pick up his stuff. And as he's getting to the end of the hallway towards the doors, he hears like somebody yelling, "Where is it?" Obviously, him asking Tony where his agenda is, bro. So he splits down the hall and hides the agenda behind this little like electric box thing that was in some of these plants in this side courtyard moment. So he goes back to school for the rest of the day and is just acting normal, you know, doesn't really see too much going on, but after school grabs the agenda and books it home. And when he gets home, he opens up the agenda and sure enough, bro, he's like, jackpot. It's everything. It's all of his logins, emails, passwords, everything on it. And he just kind of starts going through it, and he logs into the Xbox account, and he sees messages of him bragging about stealing all these accounts from other people. So, you know, he had the opportunity here to change all of this kid's accounts for everything, but all he does is change the password to the email account the Xbox account is owned by and the password to the Xbox account, just so this kid can never get back into his account. You know what I mean? And obviously, he could have really ruined the kid, but he didn't want to do what the kid had already done. Like, somebody ruining every account would just suck, dude. That's unfortunate. He didn't want to do that, but yeah, he did want this kid to know how it felt to lose your Xbox account a little bit. You know what I mean? And sure enough, the next day of school comes and everybody's kind of hushed looking around. Nobody really knows that he's done it or what's gone on, but all they know is that Damien is pissed, bro. He's walking around the courtyard talking to everybody. He had gone home to discover he had been locked out of his account, couldn't get into his Xbox account, couldn't get into the email, had been texting people all night trying to figure out who had done it and nobody would say anything. And he was obviously smart enough to know it was revenge for just his attitude and how he had been acting, but like, you know, he really wanted his account back. So as he's walking around that morning, everybody he's talking to, he's like, I'll give you $1,000 if you give me my account back. You know, like, I just really want my Xbox account back. It meant a lot to me. And when he would say that, everybody would be like, oh yeah, your account meant a lot to you and it would really suck if somebody took it, right? And he would get this look on his face of just pure shame when he realized that, like, this is what he had done to other people. And he finally gets around to asking Dan, and Dan denies it, you know, and is just kind of like, no, I'm not gonna give his account back. He doesn't know that he took it. But to this day, he has never given the kid the login back. He just had to make a new Xbox account and start over. But what is really interesting is after this incident, like a month after, Damien ended up apologizing to everybody, talking about how messed up it was. So in a weird way, it kind of worked to teach him a lesson. But moral of the story is maybe don't go around stealing everyone at your school's Xbox accounts, because that's not cool, I guess. I don't know. That's the moral we're going with today. Anyways, guys, I think that's gonna do it for the video. video. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you did, I'd appreciate you pressing the like button, letting me know in the comments section down below what you thought, and subscribing and turning on those notifications if you're new. Use code Scrubby at the G Fuel checkout for a discount. And if you want more content, I have a podcast called The Scuffed Cast. Link will be down below, along with a link to the intro song. And if you're really in the mood for swag, you can also pick up some of the merch that's in the description down below. But yeah, on that note, guys, I think that's gonna do it for the video. Don't get anyone pregnant. If you do, make sure they're hot, and I'll see you guys next time. I'm out. Peace. What's going on, guys? It's your boy Scrub here, back again with another video. Hope you guys are having a great day. I know I am. And today I've got a story time for you guys about the time a couple of my friends got scammed on Xbox Live. I should say their parents got scammed. Basically, they gave their mom and dad's credit card information to hackers and then didn't want to tell their parents because they thought they were going to get in trouble. It was just a very bad situation. Regardless, it's a pretty funny story time, and I figured it would be entertaining. But before we get into it, be sure to press the like button, or no joke, no scam whatsoever, you're gonna get kicked in the shin by a leprechaun, and trust me, it's gonna hurt. And yeah, let's get into it.
It's okay, it's not good. Nice rack in her ass Brazilian. Just turned 21, but my bank's a million. Swear I'm a little drunk, but it's a hell of a...
Alright, guys, so Xbox is a very interesting place. It's basically where I, had to learn everything, dude. My parents, they tried their best to teach me, but I was more impressed with, playing Call of Duty, so that's where I had a majority of social interactions in, middle school and high school. And the game that was really popular at the time was Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, and in that game, you had to prestige, and when you prestige, you didn't have prestige tokens, you literally reset with nothing, and there were 10 prestiges, and obviously, if you were a 10th prestige, you were a very cool person. Everybody thought you were very cool at the game. Kids at school would be impressed, and because of that, there became this little black market of people that would glitch you to 10th prestige in order to get Microsoft points, or you would buy them a game or whatever. There was this little black market of people who would glitch the game and get you to 10th prestige, and obviously, because we were in middle school at the time, me and all my friends were pretty broke. I had some money, I guess, but nothing that was, constant income, and my friends had no money, so we didn't really have a way to get into one of these lobbies and get to 10th prestige, but we all really wanted to do it, so we would spend hours trying to figure out how to get into these lobbies for free. And one day, one of my friends is like, yo, I was playing earlier in a lobby and I heard these guys talking about this prestige glitch, and they're gonna do a hacked lobby, and they're gonna let us in for free. All we have to do is give them the logins to our account, and they're gonna do it for us. And immediately I was like, I don't know about that one, just because, I don't know, bro. The idea of letting somebody log into my account where I have a credit card on file, it was my parents, but I obviously knew it was there. I was not a big fan of that. And then even then, dude, letting somebody log into my account and being able to send messages to everybody, unadd everybody, they could literally just take your account if you give them the login. Keep in mind, this is the early 2010s, maybe it might have actually been 2009, 2010, so internet security isn't what it is now, bro. If your account got jacked, that was basically the end of it. I'm sure there was a way to get it back, but then you would have to go to your mom and dad and explain that you're an idiot who gave out your email and password to a guy on the internet who promised he was gonna get you free Call of Duty levels. And parents were not giant fans of gaming back then. I'm sure they're still not, and nobody wanted to have that conversation with their parents, right? So I decide not to do it, but my friends are like, well, we're gonna do it, and they decide to send over all their information, and it basically says that they're gonna get signed out for a couple days while he does this. So for a couple days, I'm the only one from my normal group of friends still playing games because I'm the only one who didn't give over my account. And after a day or two of them giving over the information, I get a message from one of them, and it's a message to all friends and recent players. This account has been given to a new person. From now on, this is gonna be my account. And obviously, I thought it was weird. So the next day at school, I asked the kid whose account it was, and he was like, oh, that's super weird. The guy told me that he was doing his prestige lobby yesterday, so maybe he was just trying to get people to join it, da-da-da-da-da. And I'm like, I don't know, dude. I'm just saying, it looks like he might be trying to steal your account. But for some reason, they just kept believing it. They were like, no, no, dude, he's gonna give us free levels in Call of Duty. And then the next day, things really start to go bad. Another one of my friends comes to school and he's like, yo, dude, my parents are saying that they're getting like crap tons of credit card charges from the card that was linked to the Xbox, and I think the dude we trusted is stealing our credit card information. And at that point, like, he's like, I'm done. I'm coming clean to my parents. I want them to just cancel the card. I'm not trying to have this happen. But a couple of the kids, dude, for some reason are still like, no, it's not him. Your parents' card got hacked by coincidence, and they don't even tell their parents to check, bro. They don't say anything. So for weeks, two of these kids are just letting this dude have their account, and they're not even bothering to check. We have no idea. Everybody else who checked, sure enough, the credit cards had been used to charge like crap tons of games and Microsoft points. Because I guess back in the day, way back in the day, if you had an Xbox Live account that was linked to your Xbox that had a credit card on it, you could use it to purchase anything for the Xbox. It wasn't just for that account. Like now, if you buy something, it's linked to that account. You have to sign in to use it. But back in the day, dude, if you bought a game on your Xbox, it was linked to your Xbox. So obviously, this dude had basically bought everything under the sun. He had spent bunches of money on everybody's account, just going crazy. But the two kids who had obviously not snitched, they come to school on the first of the month, like right after the parents would get credit card statements around that time. Not the first, but around then. Like around the end, beginning of the month, whenever the credit card statements would come out. And they are just looking scared, bro. And they're like, guys, dude, the guy who took our account was scamming us. And everybody is like, yeah, duh. Everybody knew that, man. You guys were the only ones who weren't up to date yet. And they're like, yeah, but we're still not gonna tell our parents. And we're like, well, what do you mean? And they said, well, our parents are gonna come, we're asking us what it was coming from, and they're gonna call the credit card company. So we're just gonna hope that the credit card company doesn't tell them that it's from the Xbox. And we're like, dude, you do realize the credit card company can tell them where the charge came from, right? Like, the credit card company has the capability to go, hey, your kid's an idiot, and all this money that was spent on an Xbox. And then, you know, they can call Microsoft, and Microsoft will tell them what Xbox. Like, it's not hard for his parents to figure out that this money was spent on the Xbox. They really thought that their parents were going to believe that it was just some random person stealing it. And at that point, they start freaking out, and they're like, dude, we need to come up with a cover story. We're just going to tell them that, like, somebody at the school stole it. And we're all like, no, don't do that. Do not tell them that somebody at the school stole it, because then they're going to come to the school trying to figure it out, and then you're just going to have to lie more. And these kids are like, well, I can't get in trouble. If I have to explain to my dad what happened, he's going to be pissed. And, you know, listen, I understand trying to get out of trouble. I really do. But I promise you that your parents are going to be more pissed, because they're going to find out eventually. Because when they come to the school and start trying to figure it out, and the school is like, what are you talking about? Then you're really going to be screwed, man. That's going to be the ultimate not fun situation. I'm going to interrupt the story time for a second. On screen is a PlayStation gift card. I actually give a gift card away every single day as a way to say thank you to everybody who is subscribed. So if you're not already subscribed, be sure to press that button, turn on notifications. And if you already are having notifications on in your sub, then just thank you very, very much. I appreciate it. And yeah, let's get back to the video. Regardless, the kids go home and we have no idea what happens. The next day, though, I'm in class, I'm doing my thing, and I get somebody comes into class and gives the paper slip to call me down to the office. You know, I get called down to the office, and I go down there, and it's all my Xbox friends, and sure enough, there's very pissed off parents sitting there, and the principal is like, apparently a couple of you boys have been stealing people's credit card information and using it to buy games, and we're all like, what are you talking about, bro? None of us were stealing any credit card information. And the parents at that point, like, jump in and are like, well, you know, our sons told us everything. You peer pressured them into giving you your Xbox login so that way you could use our credit cards to buy everything. Like, trust me, they told us about how you would bully them, blah, 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 blah. And all of us are sitting here like, what are you talking about, dude? They had made up this thing about how we had forced them to give us their logins, and then we had spent all the money on the credit cards, which is just not true. The only problem is all these kids that are sitting in here were also the people that had had their accounts stolen and their credit cards stolen, and now they're getting accused of stealing from this kid's parents. So they do the logical thing, and they're immediately like, all right, call our parents, because we had the exact same thing happen to us. Your kids are lying, da-da-da-da-da, and they explain the situation. And obviously, I'm sitting here, and they're like, how are you involved? And I just mentioned I played video games with them. I told told them it was a bad idea because I thought they were going to get scammed. But yeah, I can confirm that all of this happened because these guys had come to school as soon as the charges started coming through and told their parents, so you can call them and ask. And so the dean is obviously like not buying it. The parents are not buying it. They think that we're just lying to like try to stay out of trouble. And we're like, no, go ahead, call their parents. Seriously, please do. Like, if I'm about to get in trouble for something I didn't do, then please call this kid's parents. And I don't consider it snitching, considering these kids brought this upon themselves. Like, y'all didn't tell your parents once you knew this dude was a scammer, and now you're just trying to throw all your friends under the bus because you don't want to get in trouble, bruh. So sure enough, dude, they call, and all the other parents are like, yeah, our kids are also this stupid. And at that point, the parents and the deans are like not apologetic to us. They were kind of like, well, you guys are still dumb, you know, but they let us away. And their kids obviously got quite an earful, bro. And the next day they come to school and they were mad at us for not playing along with it. Like, no, dude, I'm not about to get in trouble for stealing your parents' credit card so you cannot get in trouble. They were unironically like, you guys couldn't have just covered for us? No, dude, because everybody else also got in trouble for the exact same thing. If there was a way for me to cover with you without getting in trouble, then maybe I would have done it. But no, I'm not gonna admit to stealing your parents' credit card when I didn't do it, dude. What a cold, no good friend thing to do, honestly. Regardless, I kind of stopped hanging out with those dudes after that, which was probably the best idea, because a couple of them ended up trying to get, like, involved in stealing other people's accounts to do the thing to people that they had just had done to them. But I wasn't involved with that, thankfully. I got out of there before all that went down. But yeah, they got scammed on Xbox and turned it into this big, like, oh, these dudes stole us and bullied us and forced us to give us our credit cards. 0 out of 10 would not recommend. But on that note, guys, I think that's gonna do it for the video. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you did, please be sure to press the like button. Let me know in the comments section down below what you thought. Subscribe, turn on notifications if you haven't already, like I said, so you never miss another video. If you want more content, I do have a podcast called The Scuffed Cast. You can find a link to that down below, along with a link to the intro song. And if you're in the mood for merch, I do have the OG Sub Club Haha merch and the Karen Christmas sweater, all of which can be found in the link down below. And yeah, on that note, guys, don't get anyone pregnant. If you do, make sure they're hot, and hopefully I'll see you guys all next time with another video. I'm out. Peace. Alright, so everyone's family's got like the one family member that's just a little bit of an embarrassment, and this guy's uncle was that, and he shows up at the family function one day saying that he's got himself a girlfriend. Not that people didn't believe him, they just were a little bit suspicious, and she was scamming him. They sent this in to me, said I could tell it on the channel, thought it would be nuts, thought you guys would find it crazy, so without further ado, let's go.
Nice rack and her ass Brazilian. Just turned 21, but my bank's a million. Swear.
What's going on, guys? It's your boy Scrub here, back again with another video. Hope you guys are having a great day. I know I am. Here's the comment of the day. This guy has actually managed to be first on like 5 videos. I don't know how he does it, but I literally recognized his name for the first comment, so thank you. Other than that, today's story time is going to be one that is definitely nuts. I wouldn't go out and say that, like, the situation is funny, but it is entertaining, if that makes sense. It's a lot like a bad couple on 90 Day Fiancé, where you're like, oh wow, you are both ruining your lives, but I can't stop looking. This guy's uncle had pretty much always been single, never really had any relationship, and it wasn't because he was, like, the worst guy ever, it was just never something he had gotten around to. So when he came around saying that he got a girlfriend, everybody was like, oh, okay, that's different, not what we expected, but good for you as long as you're happy. And for the first little bit, everything seemed fine. They didn't really know his girlfriend, he didn't love bringing her around, but he just kind of acted the same, but with a girlfriend. Then things started to get weird when his uncle started to get very distant from the family. He was always like there for every birthday, there for every event, very consistently there for the family. And all of a sudden, he started to get distant. And it wasn't just not coming to events. Sometimes people get busy. He and the person who sent this to me's dad would like go to lunch every week, and he just stopped showing up, didn't text him or anything about what was going on, just kind of stopped showing up. Just weird stuff like that. So, whatever. One day, he ends up bumping into his uncle at the store and is talking to him, and his uncle is like, yeah, I wish I could see you guys more, but I'm really busy working all the time to afford all of these fees. And he's confused on what fees he's talking about because he had never heard them mention them before. Like, these fees were something that was a new stress on his life, and he could tell it's really stressing him out. Just the way he was talking about it, it was like these fees were his arch nemesis. The fees were Perry the Platypus, and he was Dr. Doofenshmirtz. So he asked him, like, what fees? Can you explain it? And I guess that this girl he was dating had managed to convince him that there was a weekly girlfriend fee. And this wasn't a situation where, like, you're gonna pay me to be your girlfriend. It was not like that. His uncle didn't think he had a sugar baby situation. No, she had, like, managed to convince him that the bank charged people that were in a relationship a fee, which was kind of like a tax for being in a relationship. Which is dumb, but I don't know. I guess for some people, they don't think too much about what people say to them, especially if it's someone that they think they can trust. You've never been in a relationship before. You don't think anyone would take advantage of it, so you're like, whatever. They're probably telling the truth. Either way, he had been having a withdrawal of $500 a week from his bank account in order to cover this girlfriend fee. And it becomes very apparent to the guy that the girlfriend's just pocketing the money when he looks, and it's just like a withdrawal of cash from the ATM with his debit card, and he said it was an auto withdrawal, which meant she was just taking his debit card and taking it out. So, obviously, his uncle's getting scammed, but he has to go about telling him gently. He doesn't want him to freak out and be like, you guys can't be happy for me, just let me have my girlfriend. So he tries to nicely tell his uncle that, like, hey, I have a girlfriend, and I don't have a $500 a week charge coming out of my bank account. That seems a little bit unusual. I'm not that sure about that. And instead of taking it to heart and maybe even thinking about it, his uncle just goes into denial. One of the stages of grief and is like, what are you talking about? You never want me to be happy. My girlfriend was right when she said that my family doesn't support me. Great. So not only is his uncle being distant, but his new girlfriend is charging him $500 a month as a girlfriend tax. Or a week, sorry, not even a month, that he doesn't know about, and convincing him that his family's against him when they try to say something about it. So whatever, his uncle's mad at him, so they go their separate ways, because he's like, I'm not trying to argue with you in the middle of the store, I'm not down, that doesn't sound that exciting to me. But that night, he starts getting threatening texts from a number he doesn't know, telling them that, like, they need to butt out of their uncle's relationship, and if they knew what was good for them, they would just let them be and stay out of their way. And it doesn't take some type of super genius detective to figure out who it was, because, I don't know, I don't think his uncle would send him threatening texts, and who else really cared? I don't think anyone else really cares about anyone else's relationship enough to, like, send threatening anonymous texts. It had to have been his uncle's girlfriend. Obviously, his uncle had gone home from their interaction and told her, so he just kind of replies being like, I'm not trying to interrupt your relationship, I just don't feel good letting my uncle get robbed, you know? And she sends another threatening text saying that because of his behavior, his uncle was never gonna talk to them again. And as of right now, the end of this current update, he hasn't talked to him again. His uncle has really gone dark on him, bro. He really said it's not worth it. I'm gonna go get scammed. I gotta pay my taxes. If you guys want me to keep y'all updated on this, I told him to email me with another update, so comment down below if you want me to do a part 2 of this eventually. I've got some more stories today, but I just thought this was nuts that someone actually convinced a fully grown adult that there's a tax for being in a relationship. This next one is just really embarrassing. So this guy was at a party with his close group of friends, and they were a little bit older. Not like embarrassing older, you know, like 55 or whatever, but late 20s, early 30s, a little bit too old to be acting the way that this particular dude was acting. Everybody had become a little bit hydrated. If you're not an OG of the channel and don't know what that means, I don't know what to tell you. But because they were all hydrated, they weren't making the best choices. And one of the guys that no one was really super hyped to have in the friend group, but had always been a part of the friend group, so they just kept inviting him, started like acting more and more annoying as he got hydrated. And trying to show off, get people's attention, just, oh, look at me, like, guys, watch this, guys, watch this. He had a crush on one of the girls in the group that didn't like him back, and even though he was 30 years old, was still embarrassing himself like it was 2 days ago in the cafeteria or whatever. But he's trying ridiculously hard to get everyone to pay attention to him, and no one is working with him, no one's paying attention, no one really cares. So he starts trying even harder, which just gives me secondhand embarrassment. If you're trying to get everyone's attention and they're just not looking at you, it's probably because you're annoying, but whatever. He's literally waving his hands at them like, guys, look over here. Guys, look. Keep in mind, we're not talking about somebody that's insanely young. We're talking about a 30-year-old man jumping and waving his hands trying to get people's attention. Oh, bro, like imagine your dad. Guys, look, watch what I'm gonna do. Watch. Like, oh my goodness, it just kind of makes you have some secondhand cringe. But no one's paying attention, so he just yells out that he's gonna do something really awesome and everybody should look. And then he goes silent. And it's not him yelling that he's going to do something awesome that got people to pay attention, but it was the fact that he had gone silent and wasn't trying to get their attention that made them look over. But as soon as they all look over and he sees that they look over, he goes for it. He just starts running, and he's gaining speed. He's not incredibly quick, but he is running, and everyone's really confused because there's really nothing over there. They were at one of their friends' houses, and the way that their backyard was set up is like half the backyard was this deck/fire pit thing, and then there was a fence, and then there was a garden. But he's very quickly approaching the fence, and so everyone expects him to slow down and do something. Like, there's no way he's just gonna run into the fence full speed, right? Well, he goes to, like, jump over it, and when he plants his foot to do, like, a hurdle jump, the only issue is his foot goes sliding, so he kind of goes forward, head first, into this fence after running full speed and breaks it, and he goes through the fence. And everybody that was watching this is just silent because they don't understand what happened, why he did that, what was going on. They literally looked over and this guy just started running towards the fence as fast as possible. But they're all very quickly snapped out of it when they hear like, oh, like pain groans, like he's hurt or something. And they run over there and he had gone head first but had put his arms through first. If that makes sense, almost like a dolphin dive from Call of Duty. Well, his wrist had taken a brunt of the impact, which did avoid it from hitting his head that hard, but his wrist had taken a bunch of the impact and it had broken. We're talking about bent the way it's not supposed to be bent. We're talking about like you can see bits of bone trying to poke through the skin. Not a very good situation, and everybody is just looking at it pretty grossed out because it's a gross sight. And he says, what happened? What happened? Like, tell me what happened. And so everyone delivers the news that your wrist is broken. Trust us, it's broken. It's bending away it's not supposed to bend. And he goes to look at it. And they stop him and they're like, you don't want to look at it. And he starts trying to argue with them, saying, well, I know my wrist isn't broken. It's not broken. I know it's not. So they say, trust us, dude, it's broken. And he won't trust them. So reluctantly, they let him look at it. And sure enough, he starts freaking out. He's like, oh, my wrist is broken. My wrist is broken. And the host of the party had already called an ambulance, so it's on the way. But they come back over and they're kind of asking the guy, like, what were you trying to do? You know, like my fence is destroyed and I don't even understand what the point was. You just ran full speed. And the guy is like, well, I was going to jump over it, but I didn't really practice it before, so I didn't know it was possible. And listen, if you're so unathletic that jumping over like a 2-foot tall fence is something that you need to practice for, maybe don't put it in your repertoire of things you do to impress people, you know? Like, if you are so unathletic that jumping over a 3-foot tall fence makes you so stressed you have no clue what to do, why would you try to do it after you had been hydrated to try to impress some people? And also, they're all adults. Did you think they would be like, oh man, whoa, did you see the way he jumped over that 3-foot tall fence? I might as well let him do my taxes. Like, I feel like it doesn't matter. If someone said, Ryan, watch, and jumped over a trash can, I would be like, wow, that certainly was cool. You jumped over a trash can. I wouldn't care. It wouldn't make me like them anymore. This guy seems stuck way back in the day. Like, not a good back in the day, you know? Way back in the day. Anyways, the ambulance comes, he gets taken to the hospital for a broken wrist. He, probably could have driven if somebody wanted to drive him, but he wasn't opposed. They had already called the ambulance, and everyone was hydrated, so no one could drive. Ambulance comes and gets him. For 2 days, no one really hears anything, and this friend group was relatively close, so, usually they would talk to each other, so the fact that it had been so quiet after that was weird. Then out of nowhere, the guy who broke his wrist texts the group chat saying that, he had been thinking about it quite a bit, and after talking to his family, he felt like it was the homeowner's fault. That's right, it's the guy who put the fence in the backyard's fault somehow, that he decided to sprint into the fence as fast as he could and dive into it. He said that if the guy would have made a more stable fence, then he wouldn't have been able to get through it so easily, and the odds of him being injured would have been a lot lower. And no one in the group chat is buying that whatsoever, alright? First of all, I feel like it probably would have hurt you more if it didn't break, then your head would have smashed into it too. And also, he probably wasn't expecting a fully grown human to be sprinting into his fence when he designed it. It was probably to keep small stuff out, just be a divider. I don't think when he was having it built did he tell the guy, yeah, I've always worried about people charging it as fast as they can and ramming into it. Make sure it can withstand that. And no one in the group chat agrees. Everyone's like, all right, you're being ridiculous. And he is so confident that it is not his fault somehow that any of this happens, that he leaves the group chat and literally has not talked to that group of friends since, saying that they didn't support him, and they just were happy that he got injured. No one was happy that you got injured. They just didn't want to blame the guy who built a fence because you got tipsy and decided to try to run into it. This next one was sent in to me by someone who had just gotten to college, and they expected to have this super awesome college experience where their roommates were great and they had fun all the time, and they were having fun all the time, but their roommates kind of sucked. This one roommate in particular had parents who didn't know how to tell him no. It was very evident to everyone because when they had all been moving in and they were kind of interacting with each other's parents and whatnot, he would literally bully them into doing things for him. He would just degrade his parents in front of people until they did what they wanted. And it was almost like he would do it to try to impress people, if people were around, he would go out of his way to embarrass his parents and make them do things and make them look stupid. Very uncomfortable stuff, weird vibes. He would call them and demand money, just uncomfortable stuff. But whatever, he started doing it to impress people at college, and the person who sent this to me really didn't like it, but it really became one of his main personality traits was that he was willing to bully his parents. So of course everybody is kind of uncomfortable with this, but he couldn't read the room very well, and he would literally call his parents on speaker and start yelling at them to try to flex on people that he had his parents wrapped around his finger, which is some nuts behavior. Imagine just meeting somebody. You don't really know them that well, you haven't spent a lot of time with them, and one of the first things that they do is call their parents and start screaming at them in front of you to show you how awesome it is to have control over your parents. I don't want to be your friend, man. If you're willing to call and scream at your parents just to flex to me, then who knows what you're going to try to do as my friend. I can't trust someone that's going to call his grandma and say she's a toothless hag to try to get a giggle out of the boys. There's a line. I'll do a lot to make my friends laugh, but I feel like attacking my family members is not there. One day, though, he had invited a bunch of people over to the dorm, and they had talked about wanting to go out and do something later, but this guy, being a loser, didn't really have any money, so they said they could figure something out to do instead. But he said, no, don't worry about it. I'll just call my parents, and they're gonna give me money. And that's what made him a loser. It's not having money. If you don't have money, who cares? But if you're I don't need to get a job because mommy and daddy will pay for everything, that's some loser behavior. But he calls his dad, and as soon as his dad answers, he's like, what's up, bozo? You ready to give me some money? And his dad doesn't take to it very well and says, I'm not going to do this anymore. And his son is confused and says, what do you mean you're not going to do this anymore? What are you talking about? And his dad starts saying that he's very ungrateful, and every time he calls him, he treats him with disrespect, and it's always just wanting something. He never calls to check on his family. He never calls to ask about his siblings. It's just always for money. And his response to that is Yeah, well, that's because I don't care about you or mom or how my siblings are doing. That's none of my business. I just need what I need. And everyone there is literally cringing because they can't believe he just said that. And his dad starts trying to give him some more advice, and he just replies to his dad by saying, "Shut up and give me more money. I'm not coming to you for advice. I come to you for money. If I wanted advice, I would go ask someone more intelligent than you," just going in on his dad. And it's very evident to everyone listening, which is very awkward that people are listening. Keep in mind, he's doing this all to flex on people, that his dad's not messing around. And his dad's like, "Well, I'm not going to give you money. You need to listen to me before we end this conversation." But he snaps back at his dad and is like, "No, you need to listen to me. I said give you money. You're not the type of person who can tell me no." Just nuts stuff to say to your parents. I feel like A, anyone can tell you no. You don't have to like that they said it, but anyone can say it. And B, your parents should be the people that are telling you no the most often in your life. If anything, if you put it all together, including your childhood, who else has probably told you no more than your parents? It'd be hard for anyone to give them a run for your money considering they raised you, but whatever. He is going off on his dad saying, "Shut up, give me money," and his dad just hangs up, which stood out to the person who sent this to me because his dad usually just took it and then caved in, and everyone was kind of surprised he had hung up that had seen this before. A few of the new people literally got up and left after that because he had just made them uncomfortable, but he decides that he's going to try to call his dad back. So he calls his dad back, and his dad doesn't even let him talk this time and is like, "Listen, you're cut off. We're not giving you any money anymore. We're not paying for anything." And his son is like, "Well, what do you mean you're not going to pay for anything?" Almost flabbergasted his parents had the nerve to ever mutter the words no to him. And his dad starts going off about how they're not paying for his food, they're not paying for his car, they're not paying for his school. He's got to figure out a way to pay for all of it. And his jaw literally drops open. He had been insulting his parents to flex on people, and now they're saying he's cut off, and he starts arguing with them, being like, "You can't do that." And his dad says, "Yeah, actually, I can. You're very ungrateful for everything we do. You call me and insult me to, impress your friends. Even if your friends are impressed by that, they're probably not very good friends. Imagine all your boys get together. Oh, call and degrade your family members. That's probably not the type of people you want to be spending a bunch of time with, but whatever. You've been taking it too far. So yeah, figure out how to pay for it, because if I'm going to be doing all this work to pay for my kid's school, the least he's going to do is be respectful." And he once again starts screaming, "Oh, you can't do that. You have to take care of me. I'm your kid." So his dad says something that should be obvious to everybody. "You're an adult, pal. So there's actually nothing that I have to do for you. I don't have to do anything. I literally have done my job legally. If I don't want to ever talk to you again, I don't have to." Which is cold, but I think he had been more than patient after taking weeks of every time his kid calls him just being insulted and being told he's nothing more than a piggy bank and he's good for nothing. And the spoiled kid is just sitting there stammering, not even knowing what to say, and he keeps trying to reason with him, and his dad finally snaps one more time and is like, "I tried to tell you to listen. Literally, earlier this call, I said stop and listen to me before we end this conversation, and you wouldn't. And this was why. I was going to talk to you and say you're very close to being cut off, but you just didn't want to listen." And at that point, he stands up, takes his dad off speaker, and walks out of the room. I'm surprised he kept it on speaker that long. The second he said, "You're cut off," he probably should have taken it off speaker. But he was trying to be brave, maybe thought he would get a cool recovery moment. Nah, not the case, pal. Everyone just listened to the cutting off beefinito. And they can hear him through the door begging his dad not to cut him off because he's paying for all of his schooling and he doesn't know how he's going to pay for college. And they don't know what his dad is saying, but it was probably something along the lines of "You should have thought about that before you started insulting me." And for the next few days, he kept calling his parents and trying to apologize and trying to get them to pay for it. But he had pushed him too far, and every time he did, he would just get shut down. And they were like, "No, you treated us really poorly. We're not going to keep paying for your school after all that." And he actually had to go get a job, which is not the worst thing in the world. Everyone has to get a job. At least most people do, unless your parents were going to pay for you forever. But his whole demeanor changed. He became a lot less over the top, cocky, confident, mean to people. snapped him back to reality. So at the bare minimum, his parents did bring him back down to earth. It was their fault that he was that high up in the clouds in the first place. But seriously, talk about fumbling a bag. Your parents agreed to pay for your entire college. That's a lot of money. Like, that's not a small favor that they're doing for you. And all you had to do was keep your mouth shut and not insult them, and you would get free schooling. And you just couldn't do it? Like, I feel like that's really not that difficult to do. Just shut up and finish school, dude. Your parents are paying for it. And also, why would you have to just go insult your parents to that point? I don't understand. I'm not saying everyone's got beautiful situations with your parents, but like, even if you don't like them, you could just not talk to them and keep getting your college paid for. You don't have to go out of your way to make sure that they dislike you and you get cut off. And why be mean to your parents? I don't know. Like, listen, have my parents done some stuff I don't like? 100%. But at the end of the day, they're my mom and dad. I'm not gonna like make them that miserable. Anyways, guys, I think that's going to do it for the video. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you did, you should press the like button. Let me know what you thought in the comment section down below. If you don't know what to comment, please go ahead and comment scam down below. It would mean a lot. It helps the video do better. And if you don't press the like button, then no joke, no scam. Your kid's going to be as spoiled as the last dude we just talked about, and you don't want that. If you're new, you should subscribe and turn on those notifications because I post videos like this every day, and I've been on the grind. I've been pumping out the long videos. I don't know if you guys have been paying attention, but like, yeah, there's some short ones, but I've been trying to push them above 20, 22 minutes each time. So if you appreciate that, like and comment too. And if you want to listen to the audio version, I do post it on Spotify, link down below, along with a link to my intro song as well. And if you want even more of me, they do have a podcast. I do have a podcast over on my third channel, Scrub A. Feel free to check it out. But on that note, that'll do it. Thank you all so much for watching. Don't get anyone pregnant. If you do, make sure they're hot, and I'll see you guys next time. I'm out. Peace.